linear applications. The whole reason we learn mathematics is so that we can solve problems. When we solve problems, we use many different techniques, but the same approach should be used in any class that involves problem solving. The first thing you do is read the problem or familiarize yourself with the problem. Then you make a plan. That doesn't mean you start doing something. It means you start thinking about it and planning how you're going to do it. So we make a plan. In mathematics, that usually means we choose a variable, define a variable, and write an equation. We follow the plan, and after we do the plan, we check our answers to make sure that our answers are reasonable. So let's take a look at this problem. A mid-sized car gets 35 miles per gallon. A compact car gets 20% higher miles per gallon than the mid-sized car. Find the miles per gallon for the compact car. So we're finding the miles per gallon that the compact car gets. What we know about the compact car is that it gets 20% higher miles per gallon than the mid-sized car gets. And the mid-sized car gets 35 miles per gallon. So if I use, let me say, a C to represent what I don't know, the miles per gallon for the compact car, then what I know about that C is it's going to be 20% higher than the mileage of the mid-sized car. So to get 20% higher, I'm going to take the mileage for the mid-sized car plus another 20% of the mileage for the mid-sized car. The mileage for the mid-sized car, we know, is 35. So we would have 35 plus 20% of 35. So that's going to give us, let's see, 35 plus 20% of 35 is 7. So that compact car is going to get 42 miles per gallon. We also could have taken this and said, okay, if it gets 20% more, that's the same as having 120% of our 35. If it got 20% less, that would be the same as saying 80% of our 35. Sometimes we have problems that deal with interest. And in this section, we're dealing primarily with simple interest. Recall that the formula for simple interest is equal to your principal times your rate times your time. Your time is measured in years, and your interest rate is usually given in the decimal form. So let's take a look at this problem. Mrs. Smith has $500 to invest. She will invest in an account earning 4% interest for 1 year. How much interest will she earn? So it's simple interest, so I want to write down my formula. So my plan is that I'm going to use this simple interest formula. What I know is that the principal is the money she's going to invest, which is the $500. The interest rate is the 4%. So I need to use the decimal form of that. Divide 4% by 100, you get 0.04. And here my time, it tells me, is 1 year. There's my time. So the amount of interest will be 500 times 0.04. .04 times 1. So if you needed to use your calculator, you could do 500 times .04 times 1 is $20. So over that year, she will earn $20 in interest. Let me caution you that your time is going to be in years. If a problem happens to say that she's going to invest it for 6 months, you would have to convert that to years. So 6 months would be 6/12 of a year, or 1/2 of a year. Okay, now down here at the bottom, Mrs. Smith wants to divide the amount into 2 separate accounts, where one of them earns a 4% interest rate and one of them earns 3%. Here we're not going to actually find the amount, we're just going to find an expression for the amount. So for the amount that's going to go in the first account, the 4% account, we don't know how much it is. Let's just say that's going to be X amount is the amount invested at 4%. Well, if X is the amount invested at 4%, the amount invested at 3% is going to be the remainder of the money. So if you start out with $500, the amount invested at 3% is going to be 500 minus X. So my expression here is going to be 0.04 times X. That's how much I'm putting in the 4% account, so multiply it by 4%, plus the 3% times the amount I put in there, which is 500 minus X. So this would be my expression for how much interest I would earn. Here we have Mr. Smith, and he's got a little more money. He's got $800. He's going to invest some at 3% and some at 5%. So let's say he puts X amount in the 3% account. If he's got a total of 800, 800 minus X would be the amount he invests at 5%. So the total amount of money that he's going to earn is going to be 3% times X plus 5%, 0.05, times 800 minus X. That's going to be the amount of interest. But it tells us we get $36 in interest. So I get an equation, 0.03x plus, let me go ahead and distribute this 0.05 times 800 gives me 40 minus 0.05x, oops, I forgot my x here, equals my 36. So I can collect my x's together. That'll give me negative 0.02x plus 40 equals 36. So I subtract the 40 from both sides, giving me a negative 4 over there. And I divide by the negative 0.02. So negative 4 divided by negative 0.02 gives me 200 for x. So he's going to put 200 at 3%, which means 800 minus x would be 600 that he would invest at 5%.